Here we have a Caravan with the EC500 power supply unit. We have a onboard water tank issue. This is the plug that senses the level of water inside the onboard tank, and that is usually situated. Let me disconnect it from the test. I'll do that with two hands. Excuse me a second. Okay, the one-handed juggling is now over, and we have the plugs disconnected. Here we can see the plug or connector block that is going to the level sensor. It's a resistive type level sensor, and each one of these goes there. Now this end, the top ones, are the same corresponding colours that we've just looked at the opposite end, at the EC500 power unit. Unfortunately, through this connector block they change colour, so the brown and white becomes yellow, the purple yellow becomes pink. Is it just pink, or is it pink blue? It is. The purple green becomes orange blue. The purple orange becomes purple green, and the purple white becomes green orange. Now they may vary from caravan to caravan. That might just be the oddball situation in this particular one, but anyway. So got trusty meter and on ohms setting, and we've, as you saw right at the start of the clip, been using that to attach onto here, because this is kind of a nice springy type action and holds itself in place quite nice at that end. We've been connecting onto the rods, the sensor rods at this end, and I've marked with tape the one that we have no continuity reading, and that is, we'll just check to confirm, it has green purple. So green purple, I'll just do it for camera confirmation. Be embarrassing now if it works, but green purple at that end. So purple and green changes to orange and blue. Just confirm that here. That purple and green changes to orange and purple, orange and blue, same thing. So here we go, orange and purple. So I'll just pause 1 second while I make the connection there. Okay, so we've got a really high resistance reading on that particular pin. We've got 25 meg, which is ridiculous. If I remake the connection at the connector block underneath here, we get a resistance reading about 23 ohms. So we have a massive potential for volt drop across this pin. Now I suspect, rightly or wrongly, that it's to do with this sleeving. It's underneath the Caravan, exposed to weather, so we'll have a look at that one, see if it's corroded, get it opened up and check. I'll confirm these readings first before we start ripping off shrink sleeve, and see where we go from there. Come back soon. Well, I think we found the rootin' tootin' problem. Inside, the shrink wrap, as you can see on the others, that's not been disturbed, once I stripped back the insulation from the probe, it quickly became detached. This is obviously broken internally inside the shrink wrap, and what I thought would be a corroded contact is in fact a broken contact. So a high resistance point connection, and that explains the random sort of function, the intermittent fault that was occurring on the onboard tank. So we'll get that sorted, and all the others have checked out. So from here back to the EC500 we've got continuity of between sort of 18.5 to 20 ohms per wire. So we'll get this back up and running. I had to cut the tie wrap that was looped to hold all these in place, but we'll get that sorted, get it all back together. Happy days. Great. Okay, we've got our soldered repair. Bit of a kind of hodgepodge kind of thing, but it's back on, soldered. So I'll just connect on the multimeter probe, if I can do that with one hand. Thought that might be easy. There we go. So we're connected on now with the leads. You can see we're connected at that end, and we now have 21 ohms as opposed to about 2.5–3 million as we had before. So we'll get it all back together, and everything else appears to check out. We'll check the voltage level here and the continuity for ground back, and then we'll check it out, hydraulically check it out. Cheers. When you're refitting the tie wrap, you start by going down, up, down, up, down, up, down, and then finally you can wrap it back across the entire lot to pull everything in tight, so the ones that you missed would now be captured. So that's a nice easy way to do that. If you weren't kind of sure how these things work, one of these, the longer ones, will be a power supply, and the rest will be sensors, quite likely, so that you get the different length sensor for the different level indication of water content. I found that just through putting it in this little test pot that the three shorter ones, as you can see there, are the top three indicators. So obviously the shortest one is full, then we've got 3/4, then we've got half, then we've got quarter, and the long one will be the feed to it. So it shorts through the water and gives feedback to the computer on the contents, onto the level of the tank contents. It's quite straightforward, really. This float at the bottom, I've got tape wrapped around it now, because as I'm kind of moving everything about, the pump keeps kicking. This pump in front of you here, the onboard water tank pump, that operates it. So I'll get the tape off there and just show you the function of that. Okay, so I've now removed the tape from the float, and you can see that the float affects the function of the onboard pump. Don't want to run it too long with no water. This top one, can't tell. It's not obvious what the purpose of this float is. Now you would think, in reality, that if this is submerged in water, that as the water level drops, the pump would No, it won't be on. That's my brain fart. No, forget that. The only when the tank has got water in would the pump function, so it would be the way round that it is. Yeah, that's good. I was thinking that the pump would only operate with with the tank empty to fill the tank, but obviously not. It's filled from the outside pump, and then this once it's got water in, the float will then function, allowing this to function, then the computer can send water through, and this may determine the operation of the one-way valve or the 3/4 refill even, because as this is supposed to drop down to 3/4 level, then the refill kicks in to top it back up, supposedly. So maybe that is that. Not sure. Right, we'll get that put back all together and then get some water in and have a look. Happy days. Okay, so we've got the tank filling. In case you don't know, in order to fill the tank, you scroll through using this. There's lots of different options available to you, one of which is tank fill. So when you get to tank fill, it'll probably say off, so then you press the arrow, the triangle, and that switches it on. It will automatically switch off as it fills, or you can switch it off manually by pressing that, like so. So we switch it back on and carry on filling, because we're only on 2 out of 4, but it's looking promising so far, so we'll see how we go. Okay, so upon reaching tank full, which is 4 squares, we now have the automated switch off that's taken place. Hopefully that's a bit better. This panel has a proximity sensor, so when you wave your hand across, you don't have to touch it, and it illuminates for you to be able to see a bit easier. It's good. Probably the most useful feature on the Caravan, to be honest. Anyway, so looking very promising. We've got the tanks full, the heaters full. The symbol at the top corner there for the tank fill has now gone off. The pump for the tank fill pump switched off. So looks like we've got a result. Enjoy.